You going back in?
There's still men out there. God damn. When I go home, people ask me, "Hey, Hoot, why do you do it, man? Why? You some kind of war junkie?" I won't say a goddamn word. Why? They won't understand. They won't understand why we do it. They won't understand it's about the men next to you. And that's it. That's all it is.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying.
And good morning. This is the Bud Bitch Show with I'm the Bud Bitch and I'm the dog. I'm on the Dog Day show. This is the first time ever, my first time doing a podcast, so please just be patient with me. This is a show where we talk about all things cannabis, and we have a great lineup of guests here this morning. One thing that we all have in common is we are all graduates from the University of Maryland's School of Pharmacy, Master of Science in Medical Cannabis Science and Therapeutics. So did a call out to some of my classmates, and they graciously accepted to come on my first episode of the podcast. So thank you very much, guests, and let's go ahead and get started. Just want to give a quick shout out to what the program is all about, give a little bit of basics, a little bit of background of what we have studied. The Medical Cannabis and Therapeutics program is established by the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy, and it's based out of the universities at Shady Grove in Maryland. And so just want to put out some program information to any veterans who may want to get into the cannabis industry. You do have to have a bachelor's degree, but it doesn't have to be a science degree. They make it very accessible to anybody out there who wants to get into the industry. It is the nation's first graduate program dedicated to the study of medical cannabis. So that is kind of a groundbreaking program, and I consider all of us pioneers, and I am very lucky to have some of those pioneers in studio with me today. The first guest that we're going to talk to is a roller derby legend out of California, Miss Bethany Sameeks. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Bethany?
Am I backstage? Hi. I mean, we're in the ballpark of how to pronounce my last name. So I'm Bethany Sameeks. I'm in Colorado now. So I see the Texas 720 number, and I'm like, oh, hi, neighbors. So I'm here. I've been in Colorado. I've been in the Colorado space for 6 years now.
Wonderful.
I love it. I just knew that I had to go to the program because I obviously went to Maryland for undergrad. And then once I saw it was University of Maryland's pharmacy school, I'm like, that's badass. Let's go learn more stuff. So
I know, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we're considered pioneers. What have you been doing pioneering lately since you've graduated?
Oh, pioneering. Oh, I giggle when you said that. We're like, we're pioneers. I'm like, I'm just a nerd, man.
Me too.
So I work with a lot. I do more of this stuff on the former professional athlete side. At the same time, like post-concussion syndrome symptoms. Again, veterans and former professional athletes experience some of the same stuff. Like we all have been bonked in the head a few times, sleep, irritability, headache, light sensitivity. So that's where I did a lot of my work in grad school. So I tailored all the classes that I took specifically for research and just providing more information for my community here in Colorado and abroad. And I'm really excited. So most recently it was announced that I'm going to be writing. I'm one of the content writers for sports cannabis. So my track and like what I'll be doing more is focusing on delivery methods, the science, how it works, and just putting it into a digestible and an easy way for the communities to understand. Like, could I talk about, how all the receptors and the cytokines, but like, come on, unless you're like nerd, all the references are at the bottom. We learned that in school. So
Yeah.
people want to go above and beyond for sure. But yeah, I'm in the cannabis space. I recently took a job with MC Nutraceuticals. So we supply minor cannabinoids. So I'm just excited that, I'm working with a pet line, a pet brand, and we're going to do like a 3-to-1 CBD CBG ratio. So
Ooh.
I love where I've finally landed.
I love it too. That sounds so exciting.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
We're here now.
And these professions that we're going into as graduates are brand new. We're really just carving out our professions and making new job titles.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I love it. So, as a roller derby legend, can you expound on that? That sounds so exciting.
So in 2006, I was back in Costa Mesa, California, and I saw a flyer for roller derby. And I played ice hockey since I was a kid. I was on the scrub team at Maryland, like nothing fancy at all whatsoever. And then I'm a hockey player, and then I saw that, I could skate fast and hit people and wear roller skates. That sounds fun. So I basically went to the first practice. I'm like, I'm in 1000%, hands down, all into this sport. I love it. And then, so got on the international travel teams, did all the things. And then I also, in the meantime, I built the #1 brand in roller derby with my business partner, Strychnine. Yeah. So Wicked Skatewear, it's still rocking and rolling. It's still awesome today. There's still multiple retail locations across the country. I don't know how much traveling that they're doing. But yeah, it's just roller derby. Like for me, I love I love little niche markets and people and places and things. So when it comes to like roller derby or cannabis, I'm like, you're my people.
It's
you're
a
my
match
family.
made in heaven.
I know. Yeah. So now it's just
meant
nice.
to be.
I know, getting those text messages or getting those phone calls. Hey, whether it's my friends that need help with, finding cannabinoid therapies that'll work for them, or it's an aunt with cancer, or it's something. It's just being a resource and having non-judgy, douchey, stigma-related conversations.
Yes, normalizing cannabis.
Yeah.
Is, I think, so important with our advocacy and the industry going forward. It shouldn't be taboo. It shouldn't be faux pas. It should be totally normalized. And now that you're in Colorado, do you see a big difference from moving from California and into Colorado? Has it been an easy transition?
I didn't enter the space until Colorado. So there was a company called Go Fire. So it was a dose controlled inhaler or dose controlled vaporizer where the oil is on the outside of the atomizer and a convection oven. So you don't have to worry about like any of those things that happen.
Ooh, magic.
Yeah, I know. So it was that was, I've always been health, wellness, and fitness. It wasn't until here that I actually dug in and got into the industry. So I've been here since 2018.
Oh,
and
wonderful. Nice.
Just making friends with brands, making friends with people. And I did a lot of like the sports circuit, and then I've been in a lot of gyms, and even connecting with athletes where it's just like, hey, here's CBD, here's how it can help you, inflammation, your back hurts, blah, blah, blah. They're like, I don't want to get high. And coming into Colorado, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You're the first state to go. Why are we still having this conversation about CBD and getting high?
Right. Exactly.
So I know, even being here, I know that there's still a lot of work to do, and it's one conversation at a time, and just being there and being a resource.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's exciting stuff there, Bethany.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we are at maybe a good time to take a quick break. We'll introduce the other guests, and then we're going to do a round table, take some questions from TikTok, Facebook, see what they can throw at us, and we'll be right back after a quick break.
No, like governments, like state actors, non-state actors, NGOs, all working together to create this influence around the world. There's something out there I think everybody here should go watch. It's called the AI Dilemma. It's
I
a
need to
small
write that
video.
down. Mhm.
You should absolutely write that down. It's very good. It's very short. It's less than an hour, I think. It's called AI Dilemma, and it's a very updated version of all the things that artificial intelligence can do. And they're getting very deep right now. We're starting to see something called AI intimacy. And AI intimacy is where each person is getting their own AI system. Now, what's that based upon? It's based upon not your demographic, but your psychographic, how you think, what you like, where your vulnerabilities are, what your susceptibilities are. And that AI system is with you. It's on your phone that you can talk to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's literally reverse engineered through every click, like, and share that you've ever done, every comment you've ever made. It knows you better than your priest, your pastor, your spouse, your parents, your brother, your sister, any family member, your best friend, because it hears all your secrets. It knows every search you do on the internet. It knows everything that you want to learn about. It knows everything you're interested in, and it just gets reversed engineered and becomes your personal AI system.
And welcome back, everybody. We just wrapped up the first quarter of the show with Miss Bethany, our legendary roller derby lady and cannabis expert. It's been fun talking with you. Don't go anywhere. We're going to transition over to Dr. Misty. We have
Love it.
3 guests planned for today, all alumni from the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy, Medical Cannabis Science and Therapeutics master's degree. So we got a lot of big brains in the house, a lot of fun going on. We're going to transition over to Dr. Misty. Dr. Misty is let me find your intro. I did have a little intro typed up here. Let me see what's going on. I know you are a chiropractor out of sunny Florida. Hey, H. Can we get Dr. Misty up here with us? There you are. Hey, good morning, Dr. Misty. How are you?
I'm so good. Hello.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm
glad
down
you can
here
make it and be here with us.
Yes.
I understand that. Oh, it looks sunny there. Is it sunny in Florida?
It's wicked hot. Yes. Yes.
I'm so jealous. It's like currently snowing and sleeting here in Wyoming. So
I know it sounds in theory, having perpetual sunshine sounds like the thing, but it does get fatiguing.
you can't get too much sunshine.
Yes, you can.
Too much happiness.
Well, little sweaty.
Well, it's great to have you on the show, Dr. Misty. I had this is my first time doing a podcast. I had your intro information up, and now I can't find it under all of my tabs. So I do apologize. That's totally on me. I do remember that you are a chiropractor out of Florida. You're doing exciting things with cannabis and standardization within that scope. And I just want to give you a quick introduction. From what I remember off the top of my head, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
You are alumni from the same program. I did that during the intro, that all of the guests today are graduates from the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy Masters of Science program, cannabis science program. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell us what you've been doing, what's going on. I asked Bethany, what kind of pioneering things have you done since you've graduated?
So, you think that just graduating with a master's in medical cannabis is going to open doors for you, and a lot of times there's not even a door to open for you. And so sometimes you got to build the door
Yep.
to go through it. And so I have absolutely found that even with being a doctor already and been in practice for 25 years, initiating conversations about cannabis, that is a challenge in professional circle, in all circles, but especially in my circles, professional circles. So when I graduated, I wasn't really sure. In 22, I graduated. I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to do. I just knew I wanted to have this degree. I knew I wanted to do something. I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to apply it. It was kind of like, get the degree and it will come. And so
Yes.
I figured I would try to farm my own field, so to speak, right off the bat. And it's like, okay, well, I've been part of my state association down here in Florida, the Florida Chiropractic Association, for 20 plus years. And I already have a little bit of a relationship with them. And so I started trying to initiate conversations, and people didn't really want to hear about therapeutics too much. I mean, they did, but they really wanted to see, well, how can I legally do this in my practice? How can I legally advertise? I sell CBD, and I'm not even allowed to run ads on it because of the words that I use. And so, um, we just need a starting point as chiropractors, as physicians in general, but as chiropractors especially, because that's my team.
Yes.
And we are not only are we not taught about the health side of it, the physiology, the anatomy and physiology of the ECS. It wasn't even our curriculum back in
Right.
the day. And I do know that it wasn't really discovered until the 90s. And I was well into my school by that time, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I've been out of school since 99 and it's still not in the curriculum. And
We
so
gotta
that's just,
change that.
I know, it's so shocking to me. So now I get in front of chiropractors several times a year, and I talk to them about legalities. I talk to them about risk. I throw therapeutics in there, but it's kind of, you got to get in the back door sometimes
Yes.
to just get yourself established.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I do the risk management, for CEUs. I touch on a lot of different things, and then we include therapeutics in on it. But anything to pique interest,
Yes.
it's not going to be a one-time thing. They have to get multiple exposures on it, and that's what I'm trying to do. And
Yes.
so my little piece of the cannabis industry,
Right.
that's where I'm trying to carve something out for myself.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, we were just talking with Bethany, and part of the interview there was we don't really have job titles. We're making our own. We have to carve out our own. We are pioneers in this industry going forward, and you're doing a fantastic job. Can you tell me a little bit more about the standardization that you're working on? I saw that as part of your intro. That's fascinating. So could you kind of elaborate on that? Is that kind of like a best practices or something?
Yes. So this is my second year on the speaker circuit. And so
Ooh,
last year I spent the year just, they didn't give me any parameters on what to talk about. And so
okay.
I just let my passion lead me. And if it was interesting
Nice.
to me, I went out there, and I forget that I'm not in a bubble. Being in school, you're in a cannabis bubble, right?
Yeah,
You're with all like-minded people, and the stigma is not really part of the conversation. And I went in ready to talk within my bubble. And I look
right.
around, and I'm on a stage in front of 400 chiropractors in Orlando this past August. And I realized, well, I'm not in my bubble anymore. And they don't even know what I'm kind of talking about. I'm talking, even though I'm in front of doctors, I'm not talking at their level because they didn't have anything. They didn't have any,
Yes.
there was no groundwork. And so afterwards, as I'm going on women's health, and I was on the women's health panel trying to tie cannabinoids to women's health, they didn't even know the difference between THC and CBD, which is such a huge risk. It's a liability for a physician to not know
Absolutely.
the difference, because although we, even if you choose not to recommend as a doctor, even if you say I don't agree with it, I don't agree with anything cannabis, the numbers in Florida, we have our medical program, we have almost 900,000 people that have their cards. That translates, if you look at our population, that means that 1 out of every 24 people walking through our door has their card. That means that 1 in 24 of our patients are already using cannabinoids correctly or incorrectly. So it's like, so then the doctor's like, well, I don't really want to get into therapeutics. Okay, I get that. But what if they come in and they say that they took a gummy for their heart meds, and it's a THC gummy, and they're falling down. And as a chiropractor, they're falling. And you don't even know enough to connect the dots of what THC does. You don't know enough to connect the dots that THC is not for heart meds. And who told them to take a gummy instead of a heart med? So if they divulge that to us, do we know enough to know what to do with that information? Do we write it down or do we not? If we write it down, now we're liable for what we wrote down. So if somebody comes back and says, hey, I told you I was doing this and you didn't tell me that I shouldn't do that, where does the liability start coming in? And so we don't have any answers to those questions, not officially. So another doc and I are launching a cannabinoid best practices certification for chiropractors this year through the FCA. It goes live in June, and it's a 12-hour course, 3 stages, 3 levels. And at the end, they can do a certification test, and that will allow these chiropractors to then advertise that they are certified in cannabinoid therapeutics. And it's a starting point. It's not, our certification is not trumping any other certification out there, but it's something that our organization can get behind and say, hey, this is some credible information. We got to start somewhere.
Holy cow, Dr. Misty. I love that. That is so amazing. And that's exactly what we need to be doing as advocates out there in our different fields, and setting up best practices and giving doctors and nurses and other people in the healthcare industry toolboxes to help them integrate medical cannabis into their healing process. I remember in class there was something that they kind of pushed, that the doctors need to be talking with the mental health professionals and working together as a team, and getting the conversations going across the different caregivers for that person who's healing, and so they can talk to each other and work together as a team. Do you see that as possibly a model going forward? Is the team concept of the chiropractor, the mental health, the masseuse, all working together as a team? Do you see that as a model going forward?
In a perfect world, and fast forward, when we can at least all get on the same page that there's value in it, without assigning value to the plant. And that starts with the scheduling. Without that, it's going to be a really tough road, because people love to stand behind their ignorance. The doctors do, by saying it's federally illegal. Well, so is cocaine. You need to know, if a patient says that they're doing it, you need to know what to say to caution them against it. And the example I use is, if a patient comes in and tells you that they want to increase the B12, they want to increase the B vitamins in their diet, and they say they're going to go get a bottle from Walmart and they're going to crush them up and snort them. As a doctor, would you say, whoa, there's a better route of administration than that?
Absolutely.
And until we can get past that point, it's really tough to get an integrated team that can get on the same page in multiple disciplines.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it can't be done. Of course, that's the goal.
Yeah.
But that's a really tough road right now, just to find one in each discipline that that can work together. That's its own challenge, and that's in every area. Telemed will help, but
Yes.
it's infancy. It's exciting. It's in its infancy. We're given a little tiny bit of a leg up with the degree, but there's so much work that's tied to it. There's nothing that's going to be given in the cannabis industry, not on any level.
You're speaking the truth. I hear you, lady. Well, this sounds like a perfect time to take a quick break, get some coffees, sip some coffee, get some coffee in us. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to pick back up with Miss Patricia, who is a actual registered nurse, but not just a registered nurse, a registered cannabis nurse. So stay tuned.
The fact that our patriotism in America is dwindling, I really wanted to start the American AF movement. Freedom is fragile, very fragile. It takes a certain level of intestinal fortitude to stand up and say and do the right thing to preserve the freedoms that so many have paid a large price for. About being in the military, and that recruiter said, it's not Biden's army, it's your army, it's his army, it's his army, it's all of our army.
American tactical. American as f***.
So sorry, I am moving houses today and I'm on my phone.
And we're back. And now we're going to bring up Miss Patricia. Before we left on break, did a quick teaser. She is an actual cannabis registered nurse, which I find so amazing, and hats off. So if we could get Miss Patricia on the program here. Good morning, Miss Patricia. How are you?
Good. How are you?
To the show.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad that you guys were able to come on. We are all graduates from the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy, Master of Science in Medical Cannabis Science and Therapeutics. And whenever I did the call out, this is my first podcast, needed guests. I reached back to the home base. I said, what have I been doing for the past 2 years? I've been working with leaders in the industry, like-minded people. So I did a call out on a class Facebook page, and these lovely women volunteered to be my guinea pigs. So thank you so much. It takes a lot of courage. And I just wanted to ask, what have you been doing since you graduated, Nurse Patricia?
I work full-time as a school nurse, and I'm a sexual assault nurse examiner, and I have a disabled daughter, and I'm raising a grandchild. So that I've been doing that. But on my, how am I going to say it, Len? Personal level, I have student nurses that come into my office for their clinical from Northeastern University and UMass Boston and Regis. I teach them about the endocannabinoid system. I give them the books. I tell them about the American Cannabis Nurses Association, which I'm a member. Now that the American Nurses Association has deemed medical cannabis a specialty since September. So that's awesome. So I do that. And then the Massachusetts Medical Association has, as of 2022, deemed medical cannabis a medicine through the relentless efforts of Dr. Uma. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Uma.
No, tell us about Dr. Uma.
I can't pronounce her last name, but if you just look up Dr. Uma. So she's the medical cannabis consultant for the Massachusetts Medical Society. She was on CBD Nation.
Okay.
She's from Massachusetts. And she does a lot of advocacy, and she's really working on right now to make it mandated that medical doctors take a mandatory class on the endocannabinoid system and medical cannabis. So, and I've testified at the State House in Massachusetts on behalf of medical cannabis patients. I was invited after that testimony. Someone heard me, and they invited me to be a speaker at the Palliative and Hospice Care Federation of Massachusetts conference this past October. Mm-hmm. So I did that. I actually did a presentation to Massachusetts School Nurses Association on medical cannabis, because we are starting to see students using CBD, prescribed for their seizure disorders in the school system. So it's really medical and educational malfeasance, from my perspective, that we are not addressing these issues as healthcare providers. Yes. And actually the Board of Nursing, National Board of Nursing the United States has a curriculum for it, but they're not teaching it in the schools yet because it's not on their state board tests yet. And they don't have people to teach it, but there are people to teach it like me. So, so I just try to, on my day-to-day, and all the doctors I go to, I give them Dr. Dustin Sulak's book. Some of them, that's, I talk about cannabis with them, and it frustrates me when they're not interested at all, but in that they don't know we have an endocannabinoid system. And, just that some of their how they interact with me can be frustrating.
Yes. Yes.
And then I did have my boss, who actually endorsed me to go to the program. She was my boss in school nursing. She unfortunately got breast cancer, and she's fine now. She went through everything, but then she had severe peripheral neuropathy from her therapy. So she had chemotherapy induced peripheral neuropathy, and that's what I did my school project on at Maryland.
Yes.
I wanted to pick something CBD that was non-psychoactive, and that was something that they would more likely use. So
yeah.
And there was a study, when I did my literature review, there was a study done by podiatrists in California, and that it was effective. So when she did a testimony for me when I spoke for the Federation, Palliative Care and Hospice Federation. She did a really great job. She couldn't even sleep because of her peripheral, and the CBD cream helped her. I think I gave her a 1,125 milligram jar that had that much CBD in it, and it helped her to restore her, be able to walk and to sleep. And so why gabapentin isn't doing anything? So why are we keeping this medicine away from people who are suffering? And I also present that the driving force behind medical cannabis is the parents of sick children.
Yes.
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, there's been many. One of them is Dr. And I won't be able to. He's passed away like a couple of years ago. Psychiatrist from Leicester, Ginspoon.
Okay.
His son speaks now, but I don't know have you ever heard their story?
No, I haven't.
He was, it was in the 70s. He wrote the first book on medical cannabis. His son had leukemia, and they was suffering from the nausea and vomiting, and so they got it off the streets, right?
No.
And it helped them. But this was in the 70s,
Right.
So then he became they actually have a strain named after him now. So actually in Massachusetts, there's a really rich history and resources. And Dr. Dustin Sulak's up in Maine. And he's like, I always refer back to his website is great. It's very medicinal. And so I just pretty much, and I've connected with the patient advocacy group, the Cannabis Control Commission in Massachusetts. There's all just lawyers on there. There's no medical people. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Tell me about it. And so I try to work with they kind of threw a bone to the patients. So they do have like a little advocacy group, and like they were trying to take away the telemedicine for them after the pandemic. So, but we got that restored through, but I try to connect with the patients, but the Cannabis Control Commission, their whole focus is the recreational. We've left the suffering patient in the dust.
Oh.
And I know in Connecticut, right, this weekend is what is it? One of the conferences is going on right now in Boston. I usually go to it, but I couldn't make it this year. But anyways, in Connecticut, they do require that a pharmacist be at a medical dispensary.
Ooh, that's going to be a lot of jobs.
Yeah. So, they do that now. So, but in Massachusetts, like my whole contention is we're leaving sick people, like they get certified and then they arrive at the dispensary, which is totally disconnected. And they're left down there, and they're in a space with people looking for a good time, which I don't have anything against.
Yeah.
but my focus is but they're in this space with people who are looking for a good time and they're suffering. And
Yes.
there's no one there. And actually the priority for the medicine goes because they can get more money for it for rec. So sometimes they run out of it for the sick people.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So
Ugh.
that's what my daughter tells me. So
Oh.
so there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. So I'm always like trying to chip away at that when I can, how I can, and when
Yes.
the opportunity, presents itself. So, but I have limited time, but I do it all, like, and I teach all the nursing instructors. I give them, you just go on Google medical cannabis nursing, and they have, since 2018, they have a very in-depth, article about medical cannabis. It's great. And they have 6 essential domains of knowledge that they want nurses to know.
Yes.
So that's how I present it to the students and the instructors. I go, this is our nursing board. And actually the ANA has endorsed medical cannabis. And nursing has been behind medical cannabis for 28 years now. So so that's what I try to do in my small ways. I would like to do it in bigger ways, but I just do what I can when I can and how I can. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you were able to come on the show today. And definitely, it's an open door policy as far as I'm concerned with anybody who is graduates of the program or advocates. Send them my way. I'm more than willing to give a platform to give their advocacy, share their stories. The Military Broadcast Radio is a nonprofit. I'm a disabled combat veteran. I have PTSD. I suffer from anxiety, that kind of stuff. So very interested in the medicinal properties of cannabis. It's not legal here in Wyoming, so I don't really get to kind of play with the strains and see what works best. But hopefully that time will come. I'm doing my advocacy in my own little way as well. But just want you to know that if you have something that's just burning and kind of like a burden on your heart and you want to get it out to the community, please don't hesitate to call. Shoot me an email and I am more than happy to give you a platform. I have a platform as a disabled veteran through the Military Broadcast Radio Station. They gave me this platform of a podcast. I never would have done this on my own had I not gotten involved with the nonprofit. So they're like, well, be careful what you ask for because I'm into medical cannabis and that's my thing. So if you're going to give me a platform, I'm giving other people a platform as well. So anytime you guys, I have an open door policy, shoot me an email, call me up, and I will definitely make time. Let's go ahead and take our third break. And when we come back, if we can open it up and we can just have everybody on a round table type discussion, and we'll take some questions from our listeners and our viewers. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
I'd stare down the barrel of a gun. I'd walk through the lion's den. I'll fight to save my family, even if it means my end. This world is hard enough without the ones you love. If it ain't me, who's gonna hold a gun? I'm playing the dead man's game, like sheep led to slaughter. The devil's here to take your soul, but blood is thicker than water. Standing at the gates of hell, I'll have to play their game. The price is high, but I've refused to forget her name. No borders, no walls, only God can part the sea. It'll take more than the devil to burn down this tree. No borders, no walls, deserts I will seek the righteous path and bring them to their knees. There's no line a man won't cross for his family. Scorned and convicted for crossing the line. Since when did one in heaven become a crime? They just want to plant their seeds amongst the pines for a chance at something better. They'll give their life. No borders, no walls, only God can part the sea. It'll take more than the devil to burn down this tree. No borders, no walls, through the deserts I will seek the righteous path and bring them to their knees. There's no line a man won't cross for his family. On American soil, their roots have run dry. It'll take holy water from the tear of an angel's cry. No borders, no walls, only God can part the sea. It'll take more than the devil to burn down this tree. No borders, no walls, through the deserts I will seek the righteous path and bring them to their knees. There's no line a man won't cross for his family. Standing at the gates of hell, I'll have to play their game. The price is high, but I refuse to forget her name.
And welcome back. I think we're going to try to get everybody online here and do a roundtable discussion, take some questions from our viewers, our subscribers. Can we get everybody on board? There's Pat. I see Pat. Can we get the other ladies on board?
I'm working on it. I don't know why.
So well, we're trying to kind of sort out the technicalities of it. I know one of the first questions was about traumatic brain injury. What would you recommend as a treatment plan for that type of condition? And I don't know, since we're talking about medical stuff, is there like a disclaimer or something that we need to? This is just a discussion. It's not. I just don't want to get sued or anything. Does anybody have any input on that?
As long as we suggest and not recommend.
Okay.
Unless again, there are medical professionals on here, Patricia, doctors. So I mean, I can just politely advise what I've suggested to my athletes who have experienced concussions, and it's a CBD CBG blend just to help with the inflammation.
Love it.
We can just educate, we're not prescribing. Yeah.
Yes. So as a CBD CBG blend is what the suggestion would be as far as a traumatic brain injury.
Mm-hmm. So after you've been recently concussed too, and it's not so much that cannabis is going to fix everything. Also take a look at, what are you putting into your mouth? Like stay out of the drive-through. Take a look at what you're putting into your mouth. Because again, if it's high carb, high dairy, high just stuff that's going to create nonsense into your body, it's not going to help the situation. So anti-inflammatory diet, as well as reduce the sugar, reduce everything, again, until we're finding relief and we're feeling a little bit better with our concussed noggin.
Absolutely.
I would jump in on that a little bit also.
Yes,
Just to expand.
Dr. Misty.
A lot of people don't, the general public, they when they say cannabis, or they think that cannabis and marijuana are synonymous, they think THC and CBD are synonymous. And so I guess the starting point would be CBD is better than THC, because people think that they take THC for anxiety, PTSD associated with anxiety. The problem is they go high. They think if a little bit's good, then a large dose is better, and it actually works against them and can crank up their anxiety. So CBD is an absolute, because it has a neuroprotection in it. And if you are talking about traumatic brain injury, you're going to assume there's been some kind of neuro damage. And so CBD has that little bit of protection in there for the nerves.
Yeah, the CBD products are kind of an unsung hero.
Yeah.
In my experience, we sell some CBD products and that sort of thing, and there's a lot of education that has to go on in that arena, as well as the wonderful medicinal benefits of CBD. And now you don't get high, and it's like taking a vitamin, every day. And you're over time, it's going to build up, and you are going to see results. But people, buy this expensive tincture, and they're expecting different things to happen, and it doesn't. And then you have to go into the education again of it's not psychoactive, but it is working. It is working with your endocannabinoid system. So I totally get that.
And also just the drug-on-drug interactions, CBD and Coumadin, if you're going to take it PO, or maybe the tincture will bypass the liver, but also just they should do it, like they could get it on drugs.com, cannabis, and put those in there and kind of check for themselves as well. That's always a big concern for me, is drug-on-drug interactions, which is totally missed because medical cannabis patients aren't getting medical care.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent point, Pat. Excellent point. And then with these kids in school and you're a school nurse, are you seeing the kids having problems? How do I say, dosing themselves? Have you seen?
Well, in elementary school, we do have a student that through Children's Hospital is on I think he has a genetic disorder for his behaviors, but he's, we don't administer it in school. We cannot administer cannabis in school as of yet. So, but people we know what their medicines are just because we get their physicals.
Right.
And it is being used. I mean, one of our classmates used it for her son with a severe autism.
Right.
Which is something that really needs to be looked into as well, because with so many autistic children and the population is growing. So
absolutely. We had an incident here in my hometown where I believe it was a high school student, and it's not legal here, but you can still get the synthetics that cause the psychoactivity in them. She overindulged in some gummies and kind of fell asleep in class. So the superintendent, it was a big drama here. And to the point where they kind of latched onto it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And they sent out a letter. Okay, this is what happened at the school. And this is once we have absolutely no problem with, well, I'm not going to say no problem, but there's not a lot of problems with drug issues and that sort of thing. It's kind of a little town, white picket fences and all that kind of stuff. It was totally blown out of proportion. They sent out a letter to all the parents. Oh my goodness. And of course she went home, ate some pizza, took a nice nap, and was back at school the next day. So as a school nurse, it would be so great to have the school nurses kind of know the symptoms of overindulgence with the kids trying to dose themselves, and say, okay, they just need to go home, get something to eat, take a shower, and sleep it off.
I think it would be a little more complex than that, just knowing their medical history.
Yes.
what medicines they're on, what do they have any medical conditions. Those would be, I mean, they should probably go see their pediatrician,
Yeah. Yes.
cautionary, their children. Yeah, I'm sure they blew it out of proportion, but
Oh yeah, it was a big deal. And then the next day they also got on the radio. So
Mhm.
they were on the local radio station, the superintendent and a couple of the teachers, and they were really kind of bashing on this one, child who overindulged. And I mean, alcohol is all over the place, drugs
oh,
are
I
all
know.
over the place, but
Alcohol is complete poison,
ugh,
so
absolutely. And then in the state of Wyoming, we have the highest suicide rate. I don't know, maybe
yes,
we dropped
I
down to the second highest
I
suicide
heard
rate
that,
here.
yeah. Yeah.
So, it's a combination of things, and kids are turning to drugs and alcohol, and it's socioeconomical and a lot of other things. But I just don't see cannabis as the main culprit.
I
It
agree,
may
yeah.
actually help the kids, with
Mhm.
their issues. It's a cry for help. So, do we have any more questions from viewers, H?
Yeah, so we have a TBI off of TikTok that wrote in, what would you guys recommend for somebody with traumatic brain injury, PTSD, while he may or may not be on, like perks or another drug like that?
Yeah, I think we just covered that one, H. It was a
Okay.
CBD,
All right.
CBG mixture
Okay.
blend.
I want to put one little caveat with that. CBD, cannabis in general, if you take them with the other meds, um, it can make the meds feel like they're working stronger. And so that's, some people, they're not going to say, I'm going to do this instead of this. I'm going to do this in addition to this. And so that should just be something to expect. The way their body responds to the meds that they've been on for that condition, their response may change if they introduce cannabis in there, and they just need to be aware of that. And that's why it's so important to be with a medical provider who understands how it works, so that they can get that dosage right on it.
Awesome. Perfect. Anything else, H, from our viewers or listeners? And if not, I'll turn it over to the ladies and they can have the last words.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see anything from the viewers. I'm doing a real quick test over TikTok since you guys already covered that. I was probably old. That's the only thing that I see off of TikTok. So,
And this is our first episode too, so once we kind of throw the pebble in the water, hopefully it'll kind of get out there that we have this podcast going, and we want to talk about medical cannabis. So anything else that the ladies might want to bring to the forefront? Any events you want to share with us, kind of have listeners dial into?
I don't have any events, but I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
I mean, that's not too in deep, not too in depth, but with the military and federal, how has your has your presence been welcomed in your little part of the industry over there?
As far as the military is concerned, I'm also on what's called Veteran Action Council. And so I go to their meetings, and they go to different events and that sort of thing. I'm just getting my toe in the water, so hopefully more information to follow. The last meeting that I went to on the Veterans Action Council was, they were over in Geneva, and they were talking to the United Nations. They were giving testimony in front of the United Nations because there are people dying over cannabis and medical cannabis. Some of these countries overseas, if you're caught with cannabis, they will kill you. And so we don't maybe understand how lucky we are to be in America. We can get access to it, even though it may even be limited, but we're not dying. They're not killing us over here in the United States. But that's kind of what they're fighting for. As far as being in the military, it's federally illegal So, and if you're an airman, a Marine, a soldier, and you pop hot for marijuana, THC, they're going to take disciplinary actions. Now, on the retired veteran through the VA, which I am now, they're taking baby steps where the doctors can talk to you about it, but they can't write any prescriptions for it. So it's baby steps. Everything is just, one day at a time, I guess. And
is there, speaking of prescriptions, is there a difference? Because I remember in one of our symposiums, there was a veteran having a conversation about it, with a difference between descheduling and rescheduling, where if it goes from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, then it can be reimbursed by insurance. At the same time, if it's totally descheduled, then insurance will not cover it. Is that?
I don't know all the particulars of that. I know there is a difference between rescheduling and descheduling, that it's way better just to deschedule it altogether. I don't know the particulars. Maybe Pat could kind of expound on that. I know she is really interested in having medical cannabis covered by health insurance, which I'm totally behind. 100%. So, Pat, do you have anything about?
I mean, from what I haven't read about it lately, but descheduling seems to be the route to go. So the more research can be done, even though we do have a lot of research. And I mean, that's way down the road for insurances to cover it, which would be great. We just need doctors to start learning about the endocannabinoids. I wanted to have a ballot question here in Massachusetts, but it's so hard to get a ballot question on to vote for. Takes millions of dollars just to have. As a taxpayer, why aren't you teaching like in high school, or just to medical professionals in the publicly funded universities, especially healthcare providers, teaching them about the dominant system in our body? I always try to take it from that angle, that why aren't we teaching about this system? It's got nothing about using cannabis or anything, but it's a system in our body that's not being taught. And that's medical and educational malfeasance.
Absolutely. Excellent point. On that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show, ladies. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being my first guest on the brand new podcast. Much success. Awesome. Much success to all of you. And my door is always open. Shoot me an email, call me, text me. I hope we can meet together and continue our friendship going forward. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Is that all right, H?
Yep, thank you so much. Yeah.
Have a good week, ladies.
Bye.
Have a good week, listeners. Until next time.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to my heart.